Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Lindsay. Welcome to my home in Denton, Texas. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Stewart, and I'm a content creator, and we're at my home in Denton, Texas. So we lived in New York City on the Upper East Side for 13 years before relocating to North Texas. And it was April of 2021, and we were just kind of looking for a change. And simultaneously, my son was applying for colleges, and he really liked the look and appeal of Baylor University in Waco. So I think it was me one morning, we were all sitting in the living room, and I said, you know, I guess we could all just go to Texas. So we did. My husband and I flew down here one weekend to tour 8 or 9 homes covering 200 miles in one day. Our poor realtor. This is the second one that we looked at, and later on that day we went back to our hotel. We were staying in Fort Worth, and we thought long and hard about this and decided to just go for it. In the morning we put in our offer, and by the time we landed back in New York City, it had been accepted. So it was go time. Time to change everything, uproot our family, and do something else. So when we first saw this house online, I was immediately drawn to the massive foyer and the curved staircase, the leaded glass windows. It was something like legit out of a fairy tale. I couldn't believe that someone had built this, and why were they leaving? Like, how could this possibly be our home? So the foyer truly, truly grabbed me at first. There was just something magical and enchanting about it. And as we looked through the real estate listings, it was just something of, I guess they say everything's bigger in Texas, but this was truly of a scale and magnitude that Lindsay brain could not understand. Like, this was Barbie dream house level. So I was obsessed with the scale. I was obsessed with the ceiling height, and the outdoor area would be perfect for entertaining. We love to entertain, we love to host. So I think that's what really grabbed me. Welcome to our foyer. This is my favorite spot in the house towards the end of the day. The sun that comes through these leaded glass windows just lights it up, and it's the most beautiful warm glow. I did put a bowl of disco balls here and my disco globe because the light hits it and just shines and sets off in here. This is a table that I have covered with my collection. It's kind of a vast collection now of coffee table books. Some of these I found on the street in a box discarded in New York City. Some are written by our friends, and some are just amazing art books and history books and photography books. I'm kind of a nut for all things art, fashion, photography, and history. The green and white striped X benches under this table were actually also found on the curb in New York. And Josh and I were on a walk, and he's like, okay, if they're there when we come back, let's take them home. I'm like, okay. So we came back from our walk, and there they were. They did not look like this, however. They were squashed down, old disintegrating foam and nasty stained fabric. You're probably wondering, why did I bring these home? Because they were just so cool and charming, and they had an amazing nail head trim. So when we got here to North Texas, I bought the iconic green and white striped sunbrella fabric. You might recognize this from the loungers at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and we had them reupholstered, and I just love them. I love where they came from, and I love how we have given them a second life. And these Savonarola chairs are from a barn. I found these on Facebook Marketplace, and I did not take a Facebook Marketplace buddy with me, and I probably should have, but I didn't end up dead in the gutter. Anyway, I like to put these 4 chairs around this table because they're just kind of different, and they set the tone for a a modern and eclectic adventure that you're going to have in our house. Shortly after we moved in, we knew we wanted to replace our front doors. These were beautiful before, but I just kind of fell in love with the heavy-duty, stark, modern, custom steel and glass doors. So we had a local Texas company custom build these for us, and I love their weight, and I love when they shut. It's like, we're good. So this was a big undertaking. This was like 12 or 14 weeks of waiting for these, but I love how just the door updated the whole facade of the home. It made it feel a lot more modern. And because I'm obsessed with making my home magical, I decided to line the stairway with these gigantic, oversized, battery-operated pillar candles. These are so much fun at night. They just look so pretty, and I guess during different seasons, I like to put pumpkins and, you know, Christmas trees, whatever calls for the season. But these are kind of always here. They're our mainstay. They twinkle and flicker, and they're just really pretty in the night, just lining my fairy tale staircase. I do have a lot of really alive and thriving plants in this room, which I'm kind of surprised, to be honest. I didn't used to have a green thumb. This room is really good for it, though. The afternoon and the evening light, these are fake, however. These I bought at a plant sale from my neighbor on the corner. The Monstera is happy and thriving and doing well here. I'm afraid to move anybody because they're doing so well in here, but I do love real plants. A lot of the plants in our house are real, some are faux, but these are all real, minus this. And I've peppered in some disco balls in this front room because the afternoon and evening light that comes through the leaded glass window already gets diffused because of the diamonds on the windows, but it hits these disco balls and it just lights this room up, and it's so magical. And my sister actually gave this to me for my birthday, a disco globe. Of course she did. She finds the best gifts. And this snake plant is doing very well. He's getting very tall. But I put this right here by the front door. Actually, this column I got on Facebook Marketplace also for like 20 bucks. So I just love this, again, sort of juxtaposition, something very classic, seemingly historical with something more abstract and modern. I love the architectural elements and the details in this house. That was one of the other things that was so striking to us when we were looking at the listing photos. Everything from the molding going up the stairway to this little tunnel right here to the built-in shelves with the lighting to the arched doorways that go from the foyer into the dining room and then through this way into the living room. So my design approach and style, it is a little bit layered, it is a little bit odd, and sometimes a little bit abstract. My dad always told me when I was growing up, don't be so obvious, you have to keep people guessing a little bit. So that's kind of the approach I've taken with this house. Josh and I have pretty eclectic tastes in general. We love modern, eclectic, old, vintage, thrifted. I like brand new, nice things, you know, planned purchases, if you will. But I think overall, I'm shooting from the hip. I have an idea in my mind. I have a kind of destination where I want to go, but I don't really know how I'm going to get there. I do like to put lots of different types of things together. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, I'm not married to it and I can fix it tomorrow. So welcome to our dining room. We actually do eat in here. I know some people are always like, do you actually use your dining room? We eat in here quite a bit, actually. Two things in this dining room make my heart on fire. This gallery wall that we spent, I don't know, months trying to nail down and get it just perfectly. And also the seashell mirror that I made to my left. I thrifted the mirror at our thrift store and put together all of these shells. Some of those are from our trips, some were purchased to make this mirror. And I just puttied and did joint compound and then set all of the seashells in and then painted it white. But I love how it turned out. I've always loved those mirrors, but they can be very expensive. And I didn't think there was any reason why I couldn't just make it myself. So I love that mirror. I love how it pops against the black paint. This is Green Black by Sherwin-Williams, and it is a glossy finish. I absolutely love this room. I love it. This room, our vibe and our inspiration for this room was New York supper club vibes, kind of like a private little supper club. So I wanted the gallery wall to be super editorial. I did not want it to seem organic and like too artsy. I wanted it to seem polished, particular, and almost formulaic. And I think we did it. So we just took a bunch of more editorial style photos from, gosh, Josh and I are going to be married for 24 years in September, but we've been together since 1994. So it was a large, long-winded, daunting task to go through that many years of photos and pick a highlight reel for this wall. But I think we did it, and it's not permanent. We can swap things out as we want, as we have new favorite photos. But the one we put in the center was taken right before we got married. We were on the beach in Venice, California, and we intentionally put that one in the center. This was a selfie before selfies were selfies, by the way. And then as you move out, it's kind of our life. I don't want to say unfolding, but unfolding. So some of these are playgrounds when the kids were little, lots of travel photos. Only Josh can dance with a full martini all night long and not spill. That's our Josh. Some of these are taken by professional photographers, especially from Playa Mujeres. When we renewed our wedding vows in 2019, we did have a professional photographer. That's this one. And the little bit more like abstract photos of me with my curlers. This photo is everything. It's like total, like my boss guys right there marching to the ceremony. But some are from trips. You know, we love to travel. There's Max on a bench in Rome when he was little and reading outside of a library in Paris. And then we have travel photos of Exuma and Antigua and Norway and Amsterdam, Italy, California. We like to travel. So I tried to pick our highlight reel, and I love this one. We used to go watch the Nutcracker every year in Lincoln Center in New York. So that was that photo. And these lamps actually were my mom and dad's as a wedding gift when they got married, and I absolutely love them. I paired them with a new black silk drum shade, but I just love this like cool bamboo ceramic and just a few more disco because life's a party. So the green chairs flanking the sideboard, I, no joke, walked into my Goodwill on a Saturday morning and there they were. And I quick flipped them upside down because you can often tell on the construction of something if it's old and original or if it's like a redo. And I could tell they were heavy. There's no seams on the wood. I Google lensed them when I got home, and sets of these in multiples were going for $16,000, $18,000, $20,000 on Cherish. And these were $8 each. And I'm not going to reupholster them because green is our accent color, green and pink around here, and a little bit of yellow. And I just love them in here. I thought they really popped next to all the black and white photos and the black wall. And the fact that there were two just felt like it was meant to be. So we bought this dining set and 10 chairs. It's a huge dining set, and this sideboard from the original homeowner, the woman who built this house, because we were coming from a small New York apartment, and honestly, it was one less room for us to furnish if we just bought this from her and it was here. We could just, again, we like to sit at a table and eat, and then this way it was already here when we moved in. The cushions were a burgundy and like mustard paisley velvet, and I thought, okay, what can I do to make this a little more us without paying to reupholster 10 chairs, because I don't think that we'll have this long term. So what I did was painted the cushions pink. And it is a little scratchy. We can't take ourselves too seriously. I do like the color. We do eat in here for a lot of our meals, and it's just another conversation piece. We love to host. We host a lot. It's not just about holidays and big events. We just love to have people over for a meal. You know, in the spring and summer, we love to be al fresco and we love to be outside. But in the winter and when you just want to have a nice dinner, we are in this room a lot. And I have an extra leaf in it right now, but sometimes we pare it down a little bit. Sometimes we have it open all the way. Our family also plays a lot of board games. I do not, but my husband and my kids do. And a game can live on half of this table for days while they finish it, and we can still have dinner on the other side. It's a pretty big table. Now that I've shown you our dining room, I'm going to take you to the living room next. I decided to start sharing all of our adventures in homemaking, if you will, on social media when my friends saw the real estate listings of the house that we bought. And it's a really large space, and it was not our vibe necessarily at all. It wasn't really, I think people were kind of unsure where I was going with this, and so were we, to be perfectly honest. And I literally remember standing in the bedroom before we made all the changes with our real estate agent, who is now my friend, saying, okay, you know me, I'm pretty creative. I think I can imagine what we're doing here. I think I have a vision. Can I do this? And instead of just saying yes, we both just stood there, and she goes, I think so. So it was kind of a leap to imagine where this was going to go. The house looks nothing like it does now when we bought it. And so I think that's why I started, maybe other people are going to find this inspiring or encouraging. Maybe other people are going to discover or be reminded that a house in a listing photo doesn't have to be anything that you end up living in. Like, you not only put your stamp of your personal touch on something, you can literally change the entire thing and make it yours. So I wanted to inspire and encourage other people. I think I had maybe like 1,000 followers at the time. It was mostly just friends and family. And I really just took an honest approach to, listen, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I know what I like, and I think I have somewhat of an eye that I can pull this together, and maybe I should share it with someone else and they'll find it at least humorous and entertaining. Let's come hang out in the living room. So this room is sort of a constant state of evolution, always picking up treasures and things in our travels and in our adventures. The very popular lamp, the horse head, Instagram named him. His name is Gustav. Thanks to everyone on Instagram. That was a very scary near miss I found in a thrift shop in my town where I grew up in Centralia, Washington, and I embarrassingly, stupidly left him there and came all the way back to Texas and then had to get it here after the fact. But I love that. And this really cool postmodern sculptural ceramic has gold on one side and some gold and cream on the other side. And that's actually from the same store. It's a store I love to visit. Every time I go to Centralia and I visit my mom and dad, I pop in to see my friend at the Shady Lady. This really cool vase, I think somebody must have made this in a pottery class. I found it at the thrift store. I'm always looking for things that are, kind of weird, kind of abstract, maybe look homemade. Is it old? Did somebody's grandma make this? Anyway, I love that so much. The table that those three things are on was a Facebook Marketplace find, brought it out of a house in Dallas, and I absolutely love that. The bench beneath the lacquered table was also a Facebook Marketplace find, and the cool thing about that bench is there were two. I can't believe it. They even come with lumbar pillows on the side. I've moved them for the point of putting this under that table, but I have two of those. The other one is in our bedroom. The sofas, I love these like leather channel set, kind of wide, low profile sofas. We love these. They look great in all seasons with all different kinds of pillows, and they're just really kind of structured, and I really wanted something like that in our living room. This is our formal living room, but we actually also like hang out in here. We have a lot of pillows on our sofas right now, and I'm just standing here realizing I guess I'm a pillow lady now. I never thought of myself as a pillow lady before, but here we are. And I actually did just do one of my first seasonal swaps for pillows ever, and it felt so good. I always have the black and white ones out here, but I have green ones and then these sweet little ones with these birds. I just thought that they were perfect for spring. So I have enough to put on both brown leather sofas, and this sort of the room mimics the other one, and it just feels a little bit bright and fresh. But listen to music, watch movies, have a drink. So it's very casual, but it can also feel a little more elevated when you're having people over just for conversation and to hang out. These chairs, these asymmetrical scalloped back chairs, I also dragged out of a barn. It sounds like I go to people's barns and drag things out, but I pay for them. But I had these reupholstered also. I love this fabric. This is from Top Fabric in LA. And it kind of has this like Egyptian, I don't know, like I love the shape of it. I love the color, like is it blue, is it green? And the fact that there were a pair. We actually had to really rebuild these when we got underneath the hood. Our upholsterer had to completely rebuild the channel. They were just old, not rotten, but falling apart. And why spend that kind of money reupholstering a piece of furniture if the inside is eventually going to fall apart even further and be in further state of disarray? So we did those together, and he's in Dallas and he's wonderful. And so I just love those. And then behind the asymmetrical scalloped back chairs are these monster mid-century modern pedestals that have some kind of cool wood grain on the top, kind of an inverse, outverse, like stacked feeling. You can't see the other one behind the chair, but these I also found online and didn't realize how heavy they were. I knew how big they were because I had the dimensions, but I didn't know how heavy they were. And when I showed up to get them, I'm just like thanking God the woman had put out a dolly. And I literally told her Ring camera that the real show was out at the trunk of my car watching me hoist these in. It was kind of a nightmare, but I got them in there. And we just decided to flank these against this antique armoire to help fill what I call our monster wall. You're not gonna believe where this came from, you guys. This was in our garage. Yes, in our garage when we moved into this house. The seller tried to sell it, and the buyer, I guess, couldn't secure a big enough truck for it. So she asked at the 11th hour if we would mind if she would leave it in the garage, to which I was like, yeah, not a problem. But it is so huge, so monstrously sized. I'm actually a lady who keeps pillows in her armoire now. This still had the auction papers in it. She had it in her garage. She said it dressed up her garage. I can't blame her, but I think it dresses up the living room better. So I'm so grateful to have this piece. It's so beautiful. It's so massive. The scale, everything about it is grand and beautiful. And I love the antique dark wood next to all of these other cool modern treasures. Probably the piece that required the most planning for this house is this large marble coffee table. This weighs about 600 pounds and is the one piece outside of an armoire in the other room where Josh and I told the kids, it's a lot of pressure, but you need to be sure you're in a position one day that you can house this table, because this is a family piece, not a throwaway piece. A piece that we were really excited about when we bought. We had been in Texas for about 6 or 8 months when we really started focusing on our furniture shopping and making calculated decisions on what we were going to plan out and, you know, spend a little bit more on certain pieces and what we wanted to be a little more quirky and off the cuff on. And this table was one table that we really, really wanted to purchase. And so it's the RH marble plinth, and it's the big one. It's the big dog. I love it. I love it so much. So this living room has 20-foot ceilings, and it's a blessed cursed. It's really hard to fill up. It's hard to put things, to, you know, so the scale feels correct. So I decided we're just gonna lift things onto tables. So we bought this table at the Goodwill, this Victorian antique, and I repainted it to make it match our house better. And then I put this beautiful 10-foot fiddle fig from Nearly Natural in these awesome clay ceramic pots, literally just from the Home Depot, but I think they're so cool. They look very legit, and they're real. They're not plastic. And I also put these trees on paint cans for extra height. And I think people maybe thought that was a little strange or a little off in the beginning, but when you're trying to fill a space, I love to go up. It's one of my favorite things to do, is to go up. Get things off the floor, draw the eye up, look around, open your eyes, look around, right? So I was like, we're gonna put that up on the table. Even Josh was like, that's a really tall fiddle fig on a very tall table, and he's not wrong. But I love how it takes the eye up. And so we have this fiddle fig from Nearly Natural, and then 2 palms flanking. It's very symmetrical in this room on this wall. that was kind of intentional. But these are also nearly natural and in the same pot. So I just love how it takes the eye up and it feels very breezy but polished, kind of like a hotel lobby or an atrium. And I think that we pulled it off. When we first moved in, the very first thing we did was hired painters. They were here for 16 days. It's a pretty big house. And I actually hired a color consultant who now she is my friend because I didn't want to mess up something. There's a lot of like crossover in this space. The foyer leads to the upper balcony, leads to the living room, leads to all of these main living spaces. And I really wanted help picking out the right color because I don't understand Texas as far as seasons and what it looks like at different times of day. So I really wanted to make the right choice and only have to repaint this sucker once. So initially the walls, I mean, they were really pretty. They just weren't our style. They resembled what I have explained to be like a brown cafe in Amsterdam. Very Mediterranean inspired. The walls were a yellowish cream and then kind of glazed over with a brown, meant to look very aged and old European. And it was beautiful, it just wasn't really our vibe. I wanted something light and bright and very lofty feeling, kind of like an art loft in New York, like downtown. And with these monster walls, I knew we could pull it off. I just needed the help. So the painters were here and they did all the walls, they did all of the iron balustrades on the ironwork. We didn't do all of the bedrooms. We kind of waited to see how this house spoke to us and what it felt like after we lived here for a little while. So a few of the rooms we did know what we were going to do. We painted our room a dark, it's not black, it's like a dark gray, Sherwin-Williams iron ore. Our dining room is a glossy black and it's called green black. The rest of the rooms we just kind of waited on. We had a lot of wallpaper to remove and I knew that I wanted to put my personal touch on some of these spaces also and do a few things myself. I'm not a DIYer and my social media, my content that I create is not DIY, but I do pepper it in. I always say just a small dose of DIY. So I knew I wanted to put some of my personal touch on some of these rooms later once I got to know the house a little bit better. We took a long time on deciding what sort of window treatment we wanted to do on this wall of windows. I didn't want to cover up the windows. I didn't want to lose any of this amazing natural light that comes through these two-story windows. And I found these shears. These are from Kurtara Curtain, and they did custom length for us because 20 feet tall. 20-foot tall ceilings. And I love that we were able to just flank the windows, diffuse some of the light through them, but really it just framed out the whole wall and made it look polished and finished without covering anything up and sacrificing any of the natural light. When we moved in, this fireplace was painted a peach faux stone. And I didn't know what to do with it. I just knew once all of the walls in this room were painted white, then it looked like orange sherbet. So I wasn't sure what to do. So first I painted this whole thing white and just had it match all the walls in here. And it felt better. It felt a little bit better, but it still felt like I was trying to make it blend in, like I was trying to cover it up, like I was trying to hide it. So we had a crazy ice storm, last January, and it was a snow day, and I decided that we're gonna paint it black. I know that's probably not where most people jump on a snow day, but I thought, I love black. We paint a lot of things black, but I felt like this fireplace with its ornate molding and sort of capitalizing on the French provincial attributes of the architectural style of this home, that I should make it seem more intentional and stand out and really just embrace the heck out of this thing. It is huge. It is such a tall fireplace. And I think black makes it look so intentional, purposeful, and I love it. And now that it has all these coats of paint on it, the ornamentation actually looks more aged and antiqued now and not as sharp and rigid as it was originally. So I think it was a win in my book. The art on top of it, I found at my thrift giant. And again, I'm kind of always looking for things that are huge, and then I find a place for it later, because truly the scale in this home is I'm paying attention to the scale often because it can swallow up something small so fast and it really kind of just gets lost in the shuffle. So I'm always looking for things that are big, and I do like things that are bold, hence the black fireplace painted on a snow day. And so when I saw this art piece, I was like, oh my gosh, that has to go on top of the black fireplace. And I just love the blue that picks up on the asymmetrical chairs, the touches of pink that I'm trying more and more to incorporate. I think pink's gonna be my new neutral. I don't know where that came from, but I'm going with it. And the crystal prism candelabra belonged to my great-grandmother, I believe, and I absolutely love that. It was at my aunt and uncle's house for years, and then it was at my mom's, and she gave it to me last year, and I love it. It moves around. Sometimes it's on the coffee table, sometimes it's on top of the mantle. I love this little vignette, this sort of collection of some of my favorite things. This piece of art is actually from one of my favorite artists right now. This is Ron Giusti, and he does some really cool, awesome, modern graffiti type style art. I absolutely love his. This is a heart, so good. And over here, we just have some neat things like this is a line drawing that my sister gave me from when Josh and I renewed our vows in Mexico in 2019. And then I have some other just thrifted treasures, the goose on top, the mid-century modern sailboat in the marble slab, some cool vases. All of the pothos are literally clipped off of my mom's pothos plant that she was given on her 16th birthday. Everybody, wow. Isn't that cool? She has propagated it so many times. I always joke, Mom, I think it's time for you to make another visit because all your pothos need propagating again. They just become very long, like ponytails. Anyway, we love my mom's pothos. So I have those mixed in with these shelves. Sweet little succulent, and the band hat is only because I saw it at a thrift store and I thought it was really weird and cool. And I love moss, wherever I can put moss, so I have a little tray of moss balls here. And then we don't hang a lot of photos in our main living spaces. We do have our gallery wall in our dining room, but besides that, I don't like to put a bunch of photos up. I do have two very special ones that I just kind of have resting on the bottom shelf here. And that's from my mom and I in front of the World Trade Center in New York in 1999. And that was such an amazing time. I had been to New York once before this for a class trip, and I always wanted to live in New York. It was just going to happen. Just grew up knowing I would one day live in New York. And so my mom and I went there for my high school graduation trip. So we got those photos, and those are probably my two most cherished photos in the house. And about a year after that, less than a year, Josh and I got married, and a few years after that, we moved to New York, and so that's how that. So I have two cool little apples here. This is from my friend Vanessa, and that one I thrifted, and so that's just a really special, fun little vignette. So we have a pretty eclectic style. I would say that Josh and I have a vast array of interests. We love music, we love art, we love entertainment, we love history, and I love design from an earlier era. I love vintage, I love antiques, I love postmodern, I love modern. So that is our style. I always joke and tell everybody, if anybody wants to follow me, like, this is the place where I'm going to tell you to be unboxable. We can't be trying to fit into 4 straight sides and be like pigeonholed. Like, that's not my vibe, and that's not how we are built. We are such multifaceted people, and I think that our design and the way that we create our spaces can reflect exactly who we are. So Josh and I love, textures. We love the nostalgia of Slim Aaron's photography. We love amazing modern arts. Andy Warhol is one of our favorites. I love Hunt Slonim. I have a new artist that I love, new to me, Ron Giusti. I love modern photographers like Lena Found, and I just have so much fun putting all of these things together with Goodwill, estate sale, thrift store, art, textiles, and furniture, and wrap it up in one big bow. This is our bedroom, and we wanted to do this one in a really dark, cozy color. So it's Iron Ore by Sherwin-Williams, and we color drenched the whole thing. We did the trim, the doors, the baseboards, the walls, everything. And I just love this room. We like to hang out in here. We have a fireplace in here. We actually have a TV behind this cupboard. So it's just a really cozy place to hang out, read a book, and it's a great sleep, color drenched in this dark gray. This antique, I love this piece. This is the one piece, we've moved a lot over the years, and this is the one piece that Josh always sits down the movers. And he's like, of all the things, you're not gonna break this. He literally carried this out of our 5th floor walk-up on 78th Street in New York on his back with one person because he didn't want the movers to take it down. And it's so special because he grew up with it, and it is an antique, and it was his mom and dad's. And it's one of those cool breakdown armoires where the bottom is a separate piece, has the drawer, and then this center part with the original beveled mirror, literally on hinges that we need to replace, and the top cornices. So it comes down, it breaks apart, and it is very special to us. Josh grew up in, he lived in a log cabin when he was in middle school through mid-high school. And this was always there, and his mom used to keep sweaters in it. So we have taken this with us through all of our travels. It's lived in Beverly Hills, Centralia, Washington, 3 apartments in New York City, and now here in North Texas, and we just love it. So that's always the one they have to be careful with when we move. Our bedroom set, we love this platform upholstered bed, and the nightstands are RH, and the lamps are actually thrifted from Facebook Marketplace. The guy was selling one, and so I bought it. And when I picked it up, I was like, this is amazing. And he's like, I have another one, but I'm just not quite ready to part with it. And I said, I know you don't know me, but I cannot be breaking up these lamp pairs. It just breaks my heart. So I gave him my number, and I said, if you ever do want to part with it, let me know. Please give me first right of refusal. And it was about 2 weeks later, and he said, okay, Lindsay, I think I'm ready to part with the other lamp. So that's how we ended up with the pair, and I love them. We had them in our guest room for a while, and we had some RH lamps down here, and I actually flipped them because I wanted the quirky, textural, awesome plaster 80s lamps in our room. So the guest room has the really fancy lamps. But I love this room, and I love this art. This is Alice Dalton Brown. Blues come in. It looks like a photo. It is a painting, and I am so obsessed with this. I used to walk Magnus to school on the Upper East Side every morning, and there was a gallery on 3rd Avenue, and it hung on the back wall of the gallery, and I used to just stand and look at that like waiting for the bus. Absolutely loved it. And you know, a few years later, here we are in Texas, and on Facebook Marketplace one day, and I don't know what made me click on it, someone had a listing for a piece of art, but they were just showing the back. They weren't showing the front. So I clicked on it, and I swiped to the second photo, and I literally gasped. It was like, you talk about postcards from your past self. It was the same piece of art that I used to stand outside of the gallery and look at while I was waiting for the bus in New York, and it found me here in North Texas. So it was a postcard from past Lindsay to present Lindsay, and I absolutely love it. So we hung it over our bed. We are city people, but we are very much coastal beach people, and so it's kind of the best of both worlds, which is why I have a big apple on Josh's bedside table and a huge seashell on mine, sort of our worlds colliding. This is the sister to the matching bench that's under the gray lacquered console table in the living room. And the seller had 2, and I love to buy things in multiples when I'm given the opportunity because it just gives me flexibility and freedom for the future. You never know when you want to be symmetrical and flank things, as you saw in my living room. I like to do that a lot. So anyway, we put the second one in here. These are the pillows that came with it. And it's just kind of mid-century, it's cool, it's really sturdy, and I love just having it here to kind of anchor the end of the bed. And then on this side, this is just a white chaise lounge that we actually just got from IKEA when we lived in New York, because in New York, everything has to do double and triple duty, and it's also a huge storage piece. That's a really nice piece to have. This lamp, oh my gosh, just want to give her a hug. I love this lamp. Even the original shade. This is one of those cool textured column lamps from the 80s. I love it. It's got like a cool wood base. It weighs so much. My mom and I found this at an estate sale. I use estatesales.net, and I was looking through the listing photos for this particular sale, and I saw it in the background of one of the photos behind a desk, and I zoomed in and I'm like, Mom, we're going for that. And she's like, what are you even looking at in this photo? So we get there and I go look for the room with a desk, and I found it, and there it was behind it. It's so heavy that the guy had to haul it out to the car for my mom and I, but I absolutely love it. And it just looks, I think everything in here pops against the black walls and the black velvet curtains. These are from Kurtara Curtains also, the same people who did the white sheers flanking the living room windows. But I love this room. At Christmas, we had a huge white flocked Christmas tree with tinsel, and it was just out of my retro dreams. So much fun. But I think it's a really good idea when we paint our rooms a really dark color to let your accessories and everything in front of those dark colors really have the opportunity and the moment to just spark and shine and pop against the dark colors of the walls. The thing I love the most about our home is the juxtaposition we have, and that we've really capitalized on, between the light, bright, big, vast, open living space and the dark, moody rooms. It didn't exactly start out this way, but it became like intentional. Like when I'm in a small room, I really like it to feel completely color drenched, like a warm, cozy hug. We've taken 3 of our bedrooms dark, moody, and color drenched in these really rich, beautiful, dark, warm tones, and left the living room intentionally very light, bright, and airy. So now we're in our closet. Josh and I share a closet. And when we were looking at the listing photos, well, part of the description said 2-story primary closet. I was like, what is this ad talking about? And it's true. We have a spiral staircase in our closet. It's so wild. New York City apartments have this in like their living rooms. So it has been so much fun. You know, we didn't have a lot of space to hang clothes where we were before. We had a lot of seasonal bins that live under the bed and bed risers. So you have all that real estate under your bed to store your clothes. So it was really fun to get here in this house and spread out. I can see everything that's in front of us. I have a lot of vintage clothes. I have a lot of vintage coats, and I love clothes. Old and new, but mostly old. And so this is kind of a fun a room to get dressed in. There's a shoe cabinet behind this mirror. And just for fun, I put my very first Vogue magazine from March of 1994. I just realized this thing is 30 years old. Oh, the old days. Anyway, I put that right here with my press for champagne button for when I'm getting ready. So we don't have enough clothes to put the rest upstairs. So the upstairs portion of this closet so far, I mean, that's a good, is that a task? Am I being challenged? Upstairs is my wrapping paper collection. I love wrapping paper, ski clothes, and overflow of Christmas ornaments. So really we don't have that many clothes that we have clothes upstairs, but the option is there, the space is there, the availability is there, there's racks up there. We have these wardrobe lift systems that are really cool, and they're upstairs too, but I wish I could take credit for this, but I can't. This is all the woman who designed this home and lived here before we bought it, but these are really cool, just, you know, little wardrobe lift systems. Again, I mean, maybe she had the same idea I did as plants on tables in the living room. Just taking things up so you don't waste space, but it's good. I got some sweaters and some dresses, all my jackets, and then Josh has adjustable wardrobe racks on his side, and then I have more behind you, and that's where I'm hanging my coats. I've always loved fashion, and I love like the history of fashion. I love fashion writing. I love it all, but I never in a million years thought that I would have a closet of this size. I don't know if anybody knows to think and dream about a 2-story closet, but here we are. But, you know, I subscribed to Vogue magazine for years growing up. I mean, 1994, oh my gosh, not until that long ago. I do love clothes. I love reading about clothes, but we just didn't have the space before. I grew up with a walk-in closet, but it was nothing like this, and it was mostly to store all of my Barbie dolls. So right off of our bedroom is our lanai and our backyard area. We recently completely redid the backyard. We had a monstrous overhaul of flagstone removal and flagstone cutting and turf install. That was a really exciting process to do. But the backyard now is way more functional, way more aesthetically pleasing, and we're just so excited. It feels very like garden-like, it feels enchanting. It reminds us of pools surrounded by lawn that you see in the Hamptons or in like a French countryside. So we're really thrilled with how it all worked out. And we used a local company called Turf Rocks, and they molded and sculpted the existing flagstone that we did keep to make even channels between all of the stone, and then they laid down turf. The area all around the pool, we went with a turf-only design, and we just couldn't be happier with how it all turned out. They even did countersunk umbrella holes where we have dropped in these beautiful yellow umbrellas from California Umbrella. And it gives such a nice shade. It's such a great place to hang out. We have 4 new chaise loungers from Highwood Home, USA, and they're made in the US and they're so gorgeous. I love them. And we have new striped cabana pillows from Hackner Home, and also green and white striped chaise lounger cushions from the company store. And you'll notice when we take a walk around the pool, they're the same green and white stripe that you saw on the X benches that we are reupholstered, that we brought from New York City Curb Find. And they are the same cushions that are at the Beverly Hills Hotel. When we first saw the backyard photos for this listing, I immediately had ideas on how far we could take the design. The bones were amazing. I just knew that we could make it a little bit cozier and more functioning for our 4 seasons loving family. We are always outside. The coolest thing is this fireplace. It can be gas or wood burning, and I just love it. It has a chimney at the top and everything. In the spring, it's extra dreamy because this tree comes into full bloom and just makes this little haven, little sanctuary of shade. I just put some boxwoods on either side of it and have these grapevine lanterns that I just kind of have sitting on the brick wall. The entire fence line has been planted with beautiful evergreens from Garden Goods Direct, and we love those. We planted those ourselves, actually, all 15 of them. It was a big experience. And other than that, we've planted pink geraniums, lots of white and crazy tunias from Callaway's. That's our local nursery here in Denton, Texas. And just, you know, pulling from flowers that I grew up with that make me feel, you know, cozy, and think of all the things that my mom used to plant. And then the green, of course, will help to cover the fence line and make that a little more of a privacy wall as they start to fill in. We host a lot of parties. Magnus is on a soccer team. We've become very close with the families on the soccer team. So we've actually hosted team-wide soccer party, pool parties, barbecues. 2 of our friends turned 50 this year in December, so we had a huge party in the backyard for their birthday. Caterer, bartender, DJ, all back here in the backyard. It was so wonderful. For our family, you know, we'll eat al fresco, we'll dine al fresco, we're floating in the pool, we're swimming in the pool, or we're laying out here now that we have loungers and umbrellas. We'll be here reading, having a drink, listening to music. Josh will turn the whole house audio to the backyard and we can hear the music out here, and it is so much fun. I think, you know, in the peak of summer, we're out here, you know, all day on the weekends when we're not doing our yard work, which is actually quite often. So we're doing our yard work and then we're outside hanging out in the backyard. But it is so idyllic and it feels like a hotel. Recently, just sort of the icing on the cake with these last finishing touches that have come in. Just really proud of the space that we've been able to pull off. It took a long time and it took a vision, but it's exactly what I thought it's actually better than I thought that it would be. I think what I love the most is there's 3 fire pits back here, so at night it's also equally charming, if not more so. So I love that. There is an upper terrace that looks out over the whole area, and we have 2 chaise loungers up there, so it's kind of a nice little spot to take in a bird's eye view. The lanai is really great. You can't ask me one favorite thing. There's so many wonderful things that I love about this backyard. But I think the biggest thing is I feel like we've made our own little resort spot and we don't have to check out. And one thing I forgot to mention, our newest addition to the backyard, I just picked up these business and pleasure cocktail tables. They're al fresco. I love them. They're so cool. They're a powdered white iron. The umbrella hole, it's just so charming. I love the like retro Slim Aarons vibes. Meets Palm Royale, meets Beverly Hills Hotel. They're just so smart. I knew we wanted a little low cocktail table and a place to put your book and your sunglasses or your hat when you jump in the pool. And I love that the umbrella just goes right through the bottom, right through the center, and into its umbrella hole in the ground. Home to me means a soft landing pad for everyone who comes through our doors, for our family and anyone else that we're lucky enough to have come over to spend their time with us.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.